Sup YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about a couple books. Kind of a little bit of a random hodgepodge here, but two of them I've read already, just recently. One of them I read a long time ago, and I just wanted to talk about it, but I didn't want to dedicate an entire video to it. And then one of them is a TBR, to be read. So we'll start with this one. I just finished this, this morning. The Broken Gun by Louis L'Amour. This is my fourth Louis L'Amour, and it was okay. Louis L'Amour for me is kind of like a failsafe. Like, I was able to read it very quickly. However, I don't feel like the story here was the best. It was about it's like a 90-year-old mystery that this Korean War veteran writer goes to investigate in Arizona, and he ends up getting basically hunted down by the owners of this ranch that he's investigating. And he's like a history writer, so he's known for mainly doing good research and bringing the past back to life. So he's very thorough, and so people are worried about that they might lose a lot of money or whatever. So that's the plot around this. And it takes place, I forgot to mention, it takes place in if I had to guess, I don't think it actually explicitly mentions it, but I think 1980s. And yeah, I mean, I have to admit, it was a cover buy, because this guy just looks, he has that shit, he has that on. So, yeah, this was, okay. There's better Louis L'Amour novels out there, and this is one of his kind of non-westerns, but it's sort of a western, but it's not in the usual time period. But he had another one that I read that was amazing, and it's actually one of my favorite books, called The Walking Drum. I might make a video about that someday, but it's, I believe it's 1200s. It kind of takes place all over the place, but it takes place in the 1200s and follows one guy, I think his name is Matherin Kerbuchard or something like that. I'm actually, I should remember that better, because I like that book so much. Anyways, I recommend that one over The Broken Gun. Just before that though, I read a one-volume Civil War history that I liked quite a bit. It took me, oh gosh, that plastic cover is, sorry. I like this a lot. My background knowledge of the Civil War isn't great, so I thought this would probably be a good place to start, It's a one-volume history, and it's written, so you can see, in a saga, so it's, for what it might, sacrificed in 100% accurate historical detail. I don't think this is historically inaccurate in my limited scope of knowledge on the Civil War, but I know this is pop history. However, I didn't mind it at all. I'm trying to get interested in the Civil War, and this did the job. I was particularly interested while reading this in Gettysburg, which I think is natural. It's the most well-known battle in the Civil War. And then the Battle of the Crater, which was just such a strange little battle that should have been a Union victory, because it was a very clever scheme. However, political decisions and not great execution, due to political reasons and not great execution, ended up being a Confederate victory and actually a bloodbath for the Union. So that one interests me a lot. But another thing that piqued my interest while reading this was the question of what makes a general good or great, because some generals McClellan for the Union are, in the public opinion anyways, from what I can tell, are fairly easily discounted or brought to earth for their shortcomings, but I feel like there's so much like mythology, or maybe like mythologizing or hero worship of like Grant and Robert E. Lee, but they were both, and this guy, he calls Grant a man waster essentially, which I think I agree with for sure. But he also praises Lee a bunch, and I'm not saying it's totally unfounded. Lee led the Confederacy to many like victories, and I think his strength was more defensively, from what I gathered from this, more of a defensive general. But I don't know how that explains his decision making at Gettysburg, which arguably lost him the war. Charging uphill, knowing that his best man Stonewall Jackson was dead at that point. So I don't know. I think it's a question that this book can't answer for me. However, that just means I'll have further reading to do. I do recommend that though. Lecky, I think this is the first Robert Lecky book I've read. I think I'll read more. His formula was kind of to give a short bio of the person he's going to talk about, and it was real smooth, like it flowed very well. And he would, give physical description of them, their childhood, of what's known to them, basic biographical details, and then he would kind of go into detail with the battles themselves and some of the political pressure around it. I thought he did a pretty good job though, and there were a few moments in this that I thought were like written pretty good. Like, this isn't the Civil War strikes me as one of the last wars where they were like dreamers, like, which might explain actually why Robert E. Lee's put on a pedestal so much, and Grant and Lincoln even. Yeah. Let's see. Next, we'll talk about what I'm going to read next, and that is this also has glare. Damn it. Okay, The Thornbirds by Colleen McCullough. This is gosh, that glare is bad. I actually should have done a bit more reading into this on what it's about, so I can give you guys a better profile of the book. However, it was a very popular book, and I think the 50s or 60s when it came out, I'm pretty sure. Let me just check. Oh, 77. Okay. In the 70s then, I guess. Maybe that's just when this edition was printed. Anyways, it's like a romance, I think. And romance, I haven't, I really should have read more about this, but I don't know. I saw this edition. I have another Colleen McCullough book that I would like to read, The First Man in Rome. Actually, you can see it right there. Anyways, yeah, I'm excited to read this. I think I'll read this next. Yeah, The Thornbirds. If you guys have read it, let me know. And then finally, I'd like to talk about a book that's pretty special to me. And it's just one of those very popular writers. So it's Dean Koontz, Watchers. This is pretty good though. This is the book that got me into reading, and it was this exact copy. It's extremely, it looks like a pack of dogs got to it, but my dad gave this to me when I asked him for a book recommendation for a reading project I was doing in high school, and I wasn't into reading at the time, but he recommended this to me, and that's when I realized, I was like, reading might not be so bad. And then I put it down, didn't read for another couple of years, and then I picked it up again for another high school project. which I kind of wish I read something else other than this again. I was just cutting corners because I knew this book already. But I am glad I reread it. This is the only book I've ever reread because I just feel like there's so many books I need to get to. But what this is about is it's about a dog who escapes a lab, and it's a very intelligent dog. Like it has the capacity of like thinking, and it can actually like communicate with people. It can't like talk because it's limited by its biology, but it's released from a lab, or rather it like escapes from a lab at the same time as another intelligent creature that was genetically engineered, and the dog was as well, to kill. I mean, I don't remember the exact animals that went into making this one, but I believe it's like a gorilla and like a alligator's jaw and all this stuff, but it's equally as intelligent as the dog, and it's like telepathically connected to the dog. And it's kind of a cat and mouse chase throughout when this dog finds a human owner, basically, that eventually recognizes how special it is. And there's a couple other characters in this book that play a huge role, including a woman that guy meets. And so there's kind of a love story going on there, but very like gripping naturally if you're into thrillers and kind of a sci-fi. It's like a sci-fi thriller, I guess, but also just I think part of what made me love this book so much, and I still love it, is the cover. Get it close up there. It's just real nice coloring. There's a house there, and then if you look down there, there's like the track of the creature that's hunting the dog. And I've since gotten a new copy, same like edition, but like this one will not stand another read, and I can't bring myself to get rid of it, so I'm gonna have both. But yeah, this is kind of the book that got me into reading, and as such, I might be biased towards it, but if that sounds interesting to you, I can't recommend it highly enough. Anyways, that's all I have today. Kind of a random assortment of books, a little bit, but some books I just wanted to talk about. Yeah, thanks for watching.